Hi, my name is Tom Fairman and I'm going to take you through using the Carbon Farming Mapping Tool. The purpose of the mapping tool is to draw the areas of land on which you intend to run an emissions reduction fund project. It also allows you to establish the latitude and longitude coordinates of the project site. You can use other mapping software to map your project, but the beauty of this tool is that it produces ERF compliant information that can be used for project eligibility application, registration and reporting. There is also a comprehensive mapping guidelines document available online via the link provided in the module. The mapping tool can also provide you with a lot of other useful information. For example, the average annual rainfall zone for your project area and whether there was forest cover in a particular year. So let's get started. First things first, we're on the Clean Energy Regulator website and I need to click on the mapping tool link, which is here. You'll either be directed to the tool itself from here or via the Department of Environment website. The Terms and Conditions screen will pop up, and I recommend you take the time to read through these and accept the license agreement to proceed. I've already read through it, so I'll accept by clicking down here. I am now presented with a map of Australia, and on it I can zoom into the area of land on which I wish to run an ERF project. The process of running an ERF project requires me to map my project area and specified sub-areas. Initially, I must map the project area to identify the physical boundaries of my project area. Many methods also require mapping of separate measurement areas within the project area boundaries called carbon estimation areas, which we'll call CEAs. You will need to refer to the specific method that relates to your project to determine what you need to map. In this tutorial, I'm going to use an example to focus on using the tool to create CEAs. Let's take a moment to look around the program. In many respects, it's very similar to a mapping tool like Google Maps. I can zoom in and out, and in the upper right hand corner of the map there is the location view of where I am on the larger map, and you can see it change as I change the location of where I'm looking. There is also a rainfall map legend which I'll refer to later. Both of these can be minimised using the black arrows, and I will minimise these for this exercise. Another feature that sits in the lower left hand corner is the dynamic lat long label. This will be blurred for most of this tutorial for privacy reasons. Also important here is the map tools, which gives a lot of information about the project. In particular, the data layers menu. A very important piece of data here is the rainfall map, which is currently turned off. This shows the average long-term annual rainfall across Australia, and of most interest to proponents, the average long-term annual rainfall of their project area. The map legend I mentioned earlier applies to this data. The nice thing is that you can turn each of these layers on and off when required, but it's time to use the tool. I can zoom to a particular area where I want to run a project, or I can use the search tool to enter a town that is close to the area I'm interested in. I'm going to type the name of a town I know here, and it's blurred for privacy reasons, but once it's entered it drops down and I click on the name and a bullseye will appear on the map at that point. I've chosen a property that I'd like to revegetate, so I'll navigate to that now and I'll turn on the satellite observation layer to help me find it. It's called the ALOS layer. And here I am at my property. It's important that you're familiar with the concept of a CEA. Basically, a CEA is created across an area of land for which you are carrying out the activities for the project, and depending on the method you have chosen to use, a carbon estimation area may need to be created based on the area of vegetation that has been regenerated, an area of vegetation that has been planted, or an area of vegetation that you have chosen not to clear. More detailed information on CEAs can be found in many of the specific method guides available. So it's time to create my CEAs. I'll now select the part of the estate I want to plant the trees with and manually draw the boundaries. The first thing I need to do is click Edit and then add a new CEA. The initial window brings up a naming option. I will enter a title according to my project area. And a CEA name that I can easily identify and recall. This way, I can use the same identifier for my CEA across all my project records. Now click Add and start to draw the boundary. I need to use the mouse to draw out the boundaries of the CEA. So I click New, and then I click each major part of my boundary area and then double click to finish. And then double click to finish it. Quite complex shapes can be drawn this way, so the tool doesn't constrain me to creating just squares or rectangles. I've decided to create a second CEA, so I'll follow the same process. Naming the CEA and then using the mouse to define the area, double clicking when I'm finished. And double clicking. So you can see I've created two CEAs. Both CEAs have a road passing through that I know I won't be planting trees across. For any areas of land within my project area that won't be used to store carbon, for example a dam, a house, exposed rock, or patches of established trees, I must use the Excluded Areas tool to remove them from the CEA. These areas are called exclusion areas. I exclude them by clicking New and use the mouse to define the area. So here I'm removing the road. And double click to finish. I'll also remove these planted areas because they are not part of the project, as well as a dam. Now in the first CEA, I'll remove some orchards, a shed, and of course the road. Removing the road. And double clicking to finish. Remove this group of orchards. Second group, and finally the shed. Now I've excluded all the areas that won't be used in the carbon accounting exercise, and you can see the area totals on the left have adjusted accordingly. The next step is to define a model point. The model point gives me the latitude and longitude value, and hence the location of the carbon estimation area that must be used in later programs such as FullCAM and the RMT. The model point should be positioned at the approximate centre of the CEA. You should refer to your method guidelines for more information regarding the location of the model point, as it becomes important when you report on your project. So to create a model point for the CEA, I click Define, and then as the instructions on the left show, I click on the approximate centre of the current CEA to place the point. So I'll choose here for this CEA. And then for the other CEA, I'll follow the same steps, clicking Define and then click approximately the middle of the area. I have now completed creating 2 CEAs, and I can repeat this as many times as I like for the different areas of my project. Something to note is, if I made an error, I just select the Edit menu, and it gives me the option to delete the CEA as I see fit. When I'm happy with the CEAs, I click on the Report menu, which provides a printable report of my CEAs, which includes information about the CEA name, the size of the planted area, the size of the exclusion area, the model point, which is the latitude and longitude, and the total area. I won't print it now, but the option to print is there. The most important thing now is to save this information somewhere safe and also save the mapping file for future use. To save, I go to File and click on Save. I give it an appropriate name and click to save it to an appropriate location. So I trust you're now familiar with the mapping tool. I recommend you have a play with the tool and explore the different options available to fully understand the tool's capabilities. Thanks for watching.